Setting up your webinar. Okay, I don't know what this is. Like, can y'all just stream it? Just stream it. Choose where you want to post your broadcast to YouTube. Preview your broadcast with a stream key? I don't know what that is. Like, just stream it. Go. Server URL. Select go live. What? Isn't that what you do? Choose where you want to post your broadcast. Use a persistent. Okay. All right, select go live. Come on. Okay. So it is, okay. Oh no, we need Facebook. All right, so this is Facebook. Oh, I'm trying to go on YouTube. Facebook. All right, here we go. Man, this is insane. Like, all right, so I've got the key. Choose where you want to broadcast or paired encoder. Why don't I just do it over here? How to flip houses. That is weird. Can I not just stream it to Facebook without having to put in a key? I don't know what a key is. I did it a second ago and you go live and that's it. All right, well, I'll try that. Live producer. Well, y'all got the Steam key here too. Go live. Choose how you want to stream your video. Use stream keys. Just a camera. Camera issue? Okay. Y'all put that into Safari. Okay. This is insane. Just stream it. Okay. Here we go now. We want to do it by, come on, camera. There we go. Go live. Oh, and you put it backwards, all right. Well, don't end it then. Nobody told you to do that. Okay, here we go, guys. All right. First, we are going to start out with Marcus Merritt. Let me see if he's on here. And let me get this other live stream off that's playing in the background. There we go. Okay. So, how's everybody doing? Are y'all in quarantine, or are y'all? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Do y'all have the C word? Have y'all got it? Are y'all are you in quarantine? Where are you in quarantine at? I'm in Powder Springs right now. And we are on lockdown, I think, right now, except for grocery store people, essential employees, medical personnel, people like that. That's really it. And then other than that, we just go to the grocery store. And it's scary. It's like, what's that movie with Will Smith? I Am Legend. That's what it feels like leaving the house. Let's see if I can get a virtual background. Nope. Okay. It's choosing not to work. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to let the other coaches know to get on. And I guess I'm going to start. So we've got Marcus Merritt coming on, and he's going to talk about marketing. Mr. Master Marketeer, Marcus Merritt, and Facebook, Instagram, all of those things now. And then I'm going to come on and talk about wholesaling, and I'm going to cover how to get the deal with no money, how to get it under contract, how to sell it to buyers. And then Justin Shipp is going to come on, and he's going to talk about rehabbing houses and getting them subject to. So subject to is a sort of a new strategy where you take over the existing mortgage, and he's going to talk about that. So really low money in there if you can't really get it to a rehab. And then I'm going to teach you how to wholesale so you can get money for the rehab and or for rental properties. And then Marcus is going to show you how to market to those people. Okay. So let's see. All right. Lev is in Southwest Atlanta. Oh yeah, Atlanta's on lockdown too. I don't have it. Don't worry. That was a. Oh man, it's the worst time because I've got really bad allergies. So that was an allergy cough from all the pollen. So don't worry. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get started, and I'm just gonna go first, and then when Marcus and Justin jump on, we'll have them on come on. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen, and let me know if you can't hear me in the chat, and then there's also a Q&A, so you can ask questions in either of those. But if you can't hear me, or if there's some issue, just let me know. Like if you can't see my screen. Here we go. All right. Now let's present. You see my face up there? All right. Oh, we got Marcus. Okay. Well, hopefully I'll let him get on. Let's see if we can do that. right, Marcus, I'm going to let you go first. I can't hear you right now.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Okay, cool. Hey, what's going on, guys?
All right. So this is our life now, like Zoom and getting on webinars. Yesterday, my son was at a pep rally, and then a couple days before that, he had his class, his kindergarten class, read a book, and it was here reading a book with his class and everything. So this is where we're at.
Exactly. We definitely have to adapt is I guess the main thing I would say.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna have you go first because you're covering marketing and social media, and then I'm gonna cover wholesaling, and then Justin is gonna come in at the end and he's going to cover rehabbing and subject to. So that way they learn how to market, then they learn how to wholesale, and then of course rehab.
Awesome. Well, again, Mike, thanks for having me on today. And everybody for listening or watching on the webinar, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is a really important topic that's like very prevalent to what's going on today, which is why I'm glad that we kind of put this together as quickly as we did, because right now the market right now is just ever so changing. And I think we just kind of have to adapt to what's going on right now. So a little bit about me for people that are listening in or watching that don't know. My name is Marcus Merritt. I own a social media marketing company called 3M Marketing and Acquisitions, where I focus on branding, content creation, lead generation, and social media management for real estate professionals and small businesses. I started the marketing company roughly about a year and a half ago, because I myself am a real estate investor and I saw a need for it in the market, for people who not only maybe work full-time jobs and invest, or people that are just so busy with their day-to-day life they don't have time to market themselves. And social media is obviously one of the easiest and best ways to market yourself, because you can do it anywhere. You can do it on the go, you can do it in the car, you can do it in the grocery store. It's very prevalent to kind of how we are today, just kind of on the go. So that was the main reason for me really starting this company. And I've been very glad that I did it. The feedback that I've gotten from all of my clients and friends and family has been awesome. So I really appreciate that. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about basically how to market yourself right now in this kind of like changing market. The biggest thing right now that everybody, we have to remember, is being affected by the coronavirus. And if somebody tells you that it hasn't affected them or it hasn't affected their business, they're lying to you. That's just the truth of what it is. We're all feeling the effects of it. And as you can see across all different businesses, everybody is feeling the effects of this against them. So small business owners right now, that's kind of like us, most of us that are probably listening in today, we're kind of in that weird impasse right now where we're not sure what exactly we should be doing to market our business in this kind of changing time. Right now, you want to come across as compassionate to people, of course. You never know who may be going through this situation or have a friend or family member in it. But as well, I mean, we all know, bills don't stop coming and stop rolling in. So we got to still continue to kind of run our day-to-day business. So I want to give you guys a few tips on things that you can do right now to kind of stay positive and kind of, keep the ball rolling with your marketing. Okay. First thing I would say is definitely stay positive. The situation is not going to last forever. That's the main thing is Eventually this is going to end, and when it ends, you want to be on the upswing of where you and your business is. You want to set up things so that now you already have those in motion when you're ready to go. So if you start implementing certain things now, if you say you don't have a Instagram business page or a Facebook business page, implement that now, set it up now, start marketing on those now, so that in 30 to 60 days from now, when we're kind of on a downswing with this whole coronavirus, you're able to then, market yourself better, and you already have those systems in place. So you're not behind the curve. You're not behind all these other people who already have it set up and already have it going. And boom, bam, they're getting leads left and right. People are calling them, people seeing their posts. And here you are, the turtle in the race, and you're behind them by, 20, 30 miles when you should be right there with them or ahead. So that's the main thing to remember. Really, this is not gonna last forever. Um, and what you don't want to do as well is come to a grinding halt with your digital marketing as well. So that's the main thing, is if you're marketing right now, continue to keep marketing. Continue to use all your platforms, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, build those business contacts. So don't feel like you have to automatically just stop exactly what you're doing. Still continue to put out content, still continue to connect with people, still continue to make business relationships, still follow up on leads. You can do all this right now while you're at home. Okay. And I think the biggest thing that I've realized over the last couple weeks is that people do look to social media to provide hope, sometimes a distraction from everyday life, sometimes fun. So I have to remember that as well. Kind of put that into your marketing too. So have stuff that kind of be a little light and funny, and get people thinking, and kind of, like you said, distract them from their everyday life, because right now not everybody's having the best time. And maybe that one funny post you put up, or that meme that real estate related, that made them laugh, might make them remember you. You'd be surprised what people connect with and what they remember. um, Little stuff like that can always, be a game changer for you. You never know, that could potentially be a lead in the future. So the next tip I have for you guys is making sure that potential customers are able to find you online. So this is a big one. I cannot believe sometimes how many people I've met that own small businesses that don't have a social media presence. And it just kind of blows me, because um, I'm speaking me as a millennial. I know that if I'm, have meet somebody that owns a business, or I'm looking up something, 99% of the time, the first place I'm going to go to try to find them is Facebook, Instagram, Google, sometimes even YouTube, just depending on what it is. But I'm always going to go to that social media first to find them. So to have a business and not have a social media presence is, to me, saying you don't take yourself or your business as serious. So, and right now, as you can see, just like we're doing this webinar, people are online all the time, all day now. So you have to have a social media presence ready for them to check it out. A lot of people like to have that social media to check on. It's almost like a vetting system for people that are in real estate, wholesalers, agents. You would be surprised how many times people will look at your social media before they even contact you. So you need to have that in place, and not only have it in place, but have it set up correctly. So, like I said, people are able to find you online. I've seen a lot of people as well that use social media handles, and they're different all over the place. So if you're on Facebook, and let's just take Mike for example. So he's Mike the wholesaler on Facebook. He's Mike the wholesaler on Instagram. He's Mike the wholesaler on YouTube. It all kind of flows into one. Um, so you want to have that kind of continuity against all your platforms. You don't want to be Mike the wholesaler on YouTube, and then you look on Instagram and it's Mike called me today, and it just doesn't flow, and people aren't going to be able to find you as easily. So that's a really big thing. You want to make sure a lot of your handles and names across all of the platforms are the same too. Um, for you guys that use SEOs, which is search engine optimization, you want to make sure that people are able to find you. A lot of times you can just do a self check yourself on Google. So for me, the other day, I went into Google and typed in my business, 3M marketing and acquisitions, and I came up seventh on the list when I feel like I should be a lot higher. So that gave me some clues like, okay, let me look and see exactly what does my Google profile say, what kind of tags are in there, what are people typing in if they want to try to find me on Google. So that's something that you can do. It's almost kind of like your own check on yourself, kind of check it all yourself as if you were a potential customer reaching out to you. And then just remember too, like we said, a lot of businesses are obviously feeling the effects of this, but a lot of businesses are still going. A lot of people are still making money. People are still working. So people are still contacting companies too. I mean, I've gotten phone calls every day this week. So don't feel like just because, yes, we are in a slump or a downturn, if you want to call it, that doesn't mean that everything stopped completely. So making sure that all your information as well is correct and up to date. I had a client reach out to me on Monday, and they left their social media handle, and I went to it and I tried to call them from the number that was on there, and it was disconnected. So that's not something you want, obviously. And obviously it was an error on her part. She hadn't updated the number. But now's the time to kind of go through all those profiles and make sure that you have everything up to date and is correct. All right. All right, guys. Next tip I have is gonna be it's called pay per click Facebook, Instagram ads. And are you doing them right now? So for those that do ads through Facebook, Instagram, or Google ads, right now is really the best time to do it, guys. I actually watched a webinar earlier this week where they said that traffic right now for ads is up 6% across all platforms. Okay. So all platforms, including, like we said, Google, Facebook, Instagram, um, all the cost per clicks are decreased as well. So essentially, you're getting more traffic and it's costing you less money right now. Why? Because more people are home working, more people are shopping online, students are doing e learning classes. And so now is that time that you can connect with them, and you're going to get an advantage because not only are you able to run the ads and connect with more people at a lower rate, but again, you're going to be ahead of the curve. So maybe they're not ready to sell their house right now, but now you've established that connection with them. So in June or July or August, when they are ready to sell, now you've already established that. Now they feel a rapport with you, and now they're ready to sell. Um, the big thing that I stressed to somebody earlier this week is, unfortunately, when this whole situation is over, guys, people are going to lose their houses. People are going to lose their jobs. People are going to go bankrupt. And as a real estate professional myself, I always tell people I'm here to provide solutions. I can't tell you how many times I've done deals where I didn't even make little to no money on it. But I did come out of the situation feeling better, knowing that somebody got out of something that was potentially hurtful for them or not good. And that's the big thing that you have to remember is being a real estate professional. We're here to provide solutions to people, and as something as simple as offering them a hand listening to their problems can establish a rapport that you never know where it's going to go. Maybe they don't want to sell their house to you, but they can refer you to their neighbor, or maybe their cousin now looking to sell that 13 acres of land they have, and they call you up. So you never kind of know where that relationship is going to go. And so right now, if you have some capital and you're able to do ads, I would strongly suggest it. Because like I said, again, your clicks are going to be up, your cost is going to be down. And now you can really take this time to where maybe you didn't before to really establish those connections, have conversations with them, and kind of go more into detail about what you can offer them in the future if they were to use your services. Another tip guide that you can do right now as well is provide a special offer during this time. So a lot of people don't like doing these. Call me now. I'm doing this. I'm offering you this for free. Whatever it is. But this is an opportunity, kind of for you, especially if you have some more free time than usual, is to offer something that'll kind of keep revenue flowing at least close to what you were making or had been making up until this point. So something as simple as, for me myself right now, I've been doing free marketing consultations. So essentially, if you contact me and you're like, hey, I'm maybe interested in using your services, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's just do like a free 30-minute consultation and talk more about you and your business and kind of what you're looking for. And sometimes people are like, great, and we talk and then they sign up and I do marketing for them. And sometimes I don't, but I would rather do that and stay busy and potentially maybe get referral leads than nothing at all. And that's kind of how you have to think of it. Again, as we've said, it is an uncertain time, so it's almost better to do too much than not enough at all. And right now, people are going to be still kind of, looking for stuff online. So, realtors, people are still looking at houses, trust me. Um, if you're a wholesaler, investors are still looking at deals and trying to figure out if they have capital, where's the best place to put it at right now. The hard money lenders, there's few and far between, but some are still lending. So there's still money to be made out there. And like I said, just maybe offering some kind of special right now to get people in the door, to get a conversation started, I think would really be big for you to kind of keep your revenue and business um, profitable as much as possible right now. Okay. Another thing, guys, is making sure that we support our local small business owners, and get support back. So that's another big thing. Is right now, a lot of the small businesses are the ones that are going to be hit the hardest by all of this. So if you can support them, obviously that's great. Get support back will be even better. And that's another way as well to make some more connections. I like to post stuff daily if I can, in my stories. So on Instagram and Facebook, instead of doing a traditional post that pops up in your feed, you can post to your stories, which disappears after 24 hours. And I like to post something at least once a day about some small business that I've seen or frequent, or maybe a client that I've marketed for, or maybe a colleague that I've worked with, to just kind of let them know, like, hey, during this kind of, you know, challenging time and market, let's make sure we're still supporting our friends and our friends' businesses, and kind of rallying around them. And again, that's a good way to not only reestablish rapport with some people. There are some people I hadn't talked to in a couple months, maybe even a couple years, that I was able to reestablish a rapport with them, but also just kind of like staying relevant to the times as well. So people know, hey, he supports small businesses. You know, if and when I need his services, I would love to reach out to him, just knowing that that's kind of how he is. A big thing too, guys, is making sure that you're able to pivot your business as needed. That's a big thing that I think a lot of people haven't been doing. Is they have all these systems in place and set up, but then when the time comes when you need to kind of shift it some, they weren't ready for that shift. So you should be able to do that, in a moment's notice with your business. And, obviously right now we're not meeting in person. So do web meetings just like we're doing now. Another thing I like to do, instead of calling people and leaving them a voicemail, send them a video message. That's something kind of cool. It's a little more personal. They're able to see you. They're able to kind of connect. We're humans. We like to connect physically. So right now we can't do that, but you can see them in person and you feel a little bit of a stronger connection than a typical, hey, leave a voicemail after the tone. They're looking at you and seeing you and engaging with you. So that's something you could do. Stay personal. I think that's the biggest thing right now. Staying personal and staying relevant is really going to keep you at the top of your business. All right. And so I got one more tip, guys, right now. And it is, don't panic market. Okay. If you're one of those people that went out and you bought like 50 rolls of toilet paper and 100 paper towels, I'm probably talking about you when I say this. You don't want to react this way with your marketing. Okay. You don't want to just be like, oh my God, the market, everything's going down. No clients are calling me to buy houses, and I'm not getting any referrals on wholesale deals. And let me just like post 50 times a day, every day. And let me just start up all this new stuff. And no, don't panic market. You need to continue doing what you were doing, just increase your efforts. And if what you weren't doing before was working, then you need to get in touch with somebody who does marketing, who can help you brand yourself and really set it up correctly. If you panic market, people are going to know you're panic marketing, and then they're going to know you're desperate. And desperation doesn't lead to money. And people are going to smell it just like a wild pack of dogs. They're not crazy. They're going to know, and they're going to say, he's just putting whatever out there, and it's, hoping it lands on something. And that's not how you want to market yourself or market your business. You want to make sure that you're using metrics and you analyze all your data. When I say metrics, guys, so if you have social media pages set up for your businesses, Facebook and Instagram, you're able to go in on the back end and look at your metrics. So you're able to see how many people you've connected with per week, per month. You're able to see how many people have checked in on your social media. You're able to see how many people have liked your pages or followed your pages. You're able to see how many people have unliked it. You're able to see all that stuff kind of on the back end side of it. So that's what's really important, and what you should be, checking in on when you're going to see, hey, let me ramp up my marketing efforts, or let me shift my marketing to this. That's really what you need to be doing, instead of just posting whatever out and hoping that the dart lands on the target. So again, guys, kind of in closing, I hope that I gave you some good tips talking about how to kind of navigate yourself right now, tips on how to kind of build up your social media, so that you can continue to do deals in real estate. It's definitely very easily to be able to still close deals, to be able to still connect with sellers, to be able to definitely connect with buyers right now while you're at home. And if you have all your social media up to date, if you're posting relevant content, if you're connecting with old customers, connecting with new ones, just kind of staying on top of that, I don't see a reason why you should not be able to make just as much money as you were before, if not possibly even more, because now you kind of understand those tips and tricks. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. What do the people usually say? That if you found that helpful, go to the chat and put in what you liked about it. If there was anything that stood out that you didn't know before, put that in there. For me, when I took Marcus's class on, I think it was just on Instagram marketing, but the thing that stuck out for me was that all your social media needed to be the same. And it's a lot harder than it sounds, because somebody on one of them will take your name. But being the same on each one is so much easier, because when you go out to tell somebody, you don't have to remember what's my Twitter name, oh, that's different from my Snapchat name and my YouTube name. So it's just a lot easier to keep them all the same, and then it's easier for people to find you, because they're like, well, what's his YouTube? Oh, well, of course it's Mike the Wholesaler. So yeah. All right, thanks, Marcus. And I'm gonna take it. So now that you know how to market to sellers and to properties, I'm gonna show you what to do with the seller once you get them. Okay. And then I'm gonna cover a little bit of like direct mail marketing and non social media marketing. All right, so let me share my screen. And then we'll go from here. Okay. Let me bring up the chat. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna present. There we go. I hope y'all don't hear my kids. There we go. All right. All right. How to flip houses in quarantine by Marcus Merritt, Mike the Wholesaler, and Justin Ship. This is what it's probably going to look like. Here's my contact. I'm Mike the Wholesaler. There is my same phone number on this shirt. If you've never met me in person, I've got We Buy Houses, and then I've got my actual Google Voice number on there. My email is coaching@thewealthu. Thewealthuniversity.com is the website, and at Mike the Wholesaler is all my social media stuff. So I'm married to a beautiful, amazing, shy wife, and she didn't let me put any photos on here because of that. I got 2 crazy kids, which you'll probably hear them in a minute, playing on the Switch because there's nothing else to do. I collect monopolies. Since I can remember, I've collected monopolies. If you have or see a copy of Socialist Monopoly, they're hard to come by because they triggered some people. So I've got 1 copy right now, but I need another copy if I want to play. And that's a really good one that you want to play. I'm the wholesaling supergroup leader of the South Atlanta RIA here in Atlanta, or south of Atlanta. I won Teacher of the Year in 2018. I'm making an app to teach people how to wholesale and to do real estate in general. So if you know an app developer, or you are an app developer, or you've made a game for the phone, let me know, reach out. I got started in 2009, and the guru that taught me how to do that took advantage of me. And so since then, I have become a coach, a mentor to people, so that in the hopes that every person that I teach, that's one less person that this guru is not teaching. Okay, there they are. Here is Noah, and there's Lincoln. You're gonna hear them screaming. This is, wait a minute, this is Noah, and then this is Lincoln. Lincoln is the one that you're probably gonna be hearing pretty soon. Legal, this is not a guaranteed, results may vary. This is not a get rich quick scheme. I'm told I gotta say that. And what is wholesaling? Okay, so here we have a purchase and sale agreement over here, and then we have a assignment agreement over here. This is wholesaling right here. So you get this one, and you get the seller to sign it, and then you get the cash buyer to sign this one, and then you that's it. You just get a signature over here, a signature over here, and that's it. You find a seller, you find a buyer, you bring them together. You are a real estate bartender, a real estate matchmaker. That's it. Okay. Now, you are now a wholesaler. When anyone asks what you do, you say, I buy houses. Okay. As you see on the back of my, well, you can't see it right here, but If you go to my Facebook page, Mike Watkins, the background says, set a goal so big that you can't achieve it until you grow into the person who can. That's the background on my computer, on my iPad, on my iPhone. So think about that. Set a goal that not you would set. Set a goal that the person you're going to become would set. Okay. This is the hardest thing you're ever going to do in your life, is when you actually do that first wholesale deal and then you have to walk back into work the next day knowing your full potential, what you can do. It feels like, you know, it's like you just break out of the handcuffs. All my friends that still work at Walmart say, I never see you at the club. And I say, well, I never see you at the bank, right? And if you go to the South Atlanta area, you could probably do both if you're here in Atlanta. Okay, so what is wholesaling? More in depth. You market the properties, you get properties under contract, you sell the contract, not the house, you sell the contract. You are the middle person. You get paid in the middle at closing and you repeat. So again, you get a signature up here for this house, you get money, you find a buyer. Here is an actual copy of a postcard that I sent through click to mail. And again, right here, no money in the deal. You don't need funding. You don't need hard money. Usually, I might get a lot of flack for this, but usually people do this because they offer coaching or some sort of mentorship, but then they also want to make money by selling you funding or what is it, hard money or transactional funding, where you actually like purchase the property and then you turn around, you sell the property. I wouldn't do that. I would just assign it. All right, your time. Okay, 168 hours in a week. You work 40 hours of them, let's say, for example, 128 hours left, minus 25 to get up and go to work. Because sometimes, you know, you get up, you go through traffic, all of that, you know, that takes time, right? When you get home, you sort of feel like, you know, when you come home, there have been times where I've come home from working a long shift and it's been so bad. It was such a horrible day that I drove the speed limit home and no music. And I'm just sitting there just like, well, you can't see my hands, but I'm just sitting there like this, like, and the whole way home. And then I just get home and then I just pick my feet up into the chair and I just sit there for a minute. Like that sucks, right? So 25 hours for that. And sleep is 56 hours of that, 8 hours a night. So that equals 47. 1 day off dedicated to friends and family is 31. Time block, so 5 hours a day, 4 for just prospecting for sellers, and 1 to administrative tasks. Okay, so that is a lot of time when you think about it. 5 hours a day when you cut out, you know, all that Netflix and all that chilling and all that stuff. So I'll get to the questions at the end, at the Q&A, okay? So I'm keeping track of all that. Okay, so become the kingpin of your area. This guy's supposed to be kingpin. He's a Spider-Man supervillain. You need to know any houses being sold, any houses being bought, shopping centers, malls being built. Those are jobs. Subdivisions being built, which isn't on here, is a bad place to go because they're going to buy those newer houses. Any moving or shaking in your market, you need to know. You need to have people know that you're the guy. Hey, they're building houses over here, or they're building some over there. Or they're tearing them down way down the road there. You know, have people know that you are the real estate person in your little group, in your little clique, your section of the world. Okay, and then here is the YouTube channel that you can go to and subscribe if you want. Zillow. Okay, this is a free way to market. So you make an account and you search your zip code, and I've got a zip code right here. And you see all these houses. These are for sale by owner, and then the purple, I believe, are for rent. And so select the houses. So all these houses in here, I have an account. Then I save the search at the bottom. So down here, you'll scroll down and hit save search, and then they will then be emailed to you. Okay. Now they don't like to tell you this, but you know, they have their phone numbers on there, their emails. If there's a realtor on there, you could still ask them, hey, do you know, I'm not a realtor, but if I find a buyer, like, is that gonna ruin this? If it does, you can say, well, hey, do you have any pocket listings? If they don't, and you meet another realtor who does have pocket listings, come back to that realtor and say, hey, I've got some pocket listings for your buyers now. You know, and wholesale between the realtors. But you can pretty much farm your area this way automatically. Okay, so here is Podio. Okay, Podio is free. This is how you manage your leads. All right, so first you make an account, you tell it you are in real estate, and then all of this will happen for you. If you already have a Podio account, you can click on this part of the screen and then go down to create another organization. And then you will go to these 3 bars right here, which will be way over here on your screen on the top left. And then once that happens, you'll go to your organization that you just created. This one was called Atlanta Wholesaling. And then once you're in there, you want to click on Add App, and then you want to go to the marketplace. And then you want to go down to real estate and property. And then you want to get the highest rated pack, 5 out of 5 stars. And then you want to add it to that workspace and then hit next, and it's in there. Okay. And then you can watch Podio YouTube videos on their YouTube channel on how to use this. And it's free up until 5 users or 500 leads in there. So it's free to get started. Free is always good. Here is direct mail. This is what some direct mail looks like that other people send. You mail a piece of paper to the seller. We don't know what that is. Let me move this chat box. And then not many other investors are doing it, especially not right now. If other people aren't doing it and you are, it's got to be really good because you're going to be the only mail piece in their box, and you got to be consistent. Okay, 4 things on the piece to track is the list, the piece, the copy, and the response. So the response you give should just be a phone number to call or text. The copy needs to be, we will close quick, we pay cash, we buy as is, and we pay all commissions, so you don't pay anything. Or you could say, don't say realtors are yucky, they'll cuss you out, because ask me how I know. But you could say, I think my copy now says, why pay a realtor 6% when we'll pay you instead? Okay, so you can copy that onto your mail piece. And of course, you can write that out on a letter. And if you go to our YouTube channel, The Wealth University, you can click on, there's a video about yellow letters, how to do yellow letters and copy them, handwritten too. So there. Phone apps. So the phone apps you use when you are driving for deals is All Trails, which is free, which tracks what roads you go down. So you know which ones you haven't been down, which ones you've been down 3 or 4 times, so you don't spook the neighbors. Landglide is an app that will give you information on a house. Deal Machine is 50 bucks. Landglide is of course 10 bucks a month, but Deal Machine is 50 bucks a month. And what that does is it allows other people to find deals for you. So if you text deals to 818181, you will get my Deal Machine link that I hand out to like Uber drivers or mail people. And while they're driving around, they just snap a picture of the house, and it sends me all the information, and then it sends them a postcard. What a time to be alive, right? And then there's the Driving for Dollars app, which is you click on the house in the app, and then it gives you a spreadsheet of those houses and then the owner information. So then you can of course upload that or skip trace them and do it that way. So Deal Machine, you get 3 deal finders, 50 bucks a month, 90 per postcard, 90 per skip trace. I've got 200 a month, so I have unlimited deal finders, 80 per postcard, 80 per skip trace, and you can text deals. And then whenever I get a lead in, I'll split it with you, and we'll co-wholesale it. I got a chat bot, which is a bot on Facebook Messenger that chats with the seller for you and can even make cash offers for you as well. You can go to magicmikeschatbot.com to get that. Virtual numbers, okay? Do not use your actual phone number. Use a virtual one that you buy online, okay? And then you route that to your phone, okay? One number for buyers, one for sellers. You can get one at Google Voice, google.voice.com, and linked with your email. And then anything is transcribed there as well. And you need the ability to text because introverts are not going to pick up the phone. So phone skills, don't ask to speak to the seller. I get this all the time where they're like, hey, Mike Watkins, can I talk to you? Or is Mike Watkins there? And I'm like, yeah, because you sound like a creditor, okay? These people, they get creditors calling them. They're not gonna sit there on the phone. I say, I don't know you, I don't know if you're the owner, maybe you're not, maybe I got the brother or the sister from the skip trace. Put the truth out there. I don't know you, you don't know me. If the person is the owner, most of the time the person is not the owner. Get them to talk, get them to tell you about the house. Why do they want to sell? If they say something like, which house? You don't even know which house. You calling me, you don't know what house it is. Not motivated, all right? Just move on from that one, okay? If the price they give is close to yours, set up an appointment, and I will get to those in a minute, because this is sort of changed now that we're in quarantine. And when responding to a call or text, do so in the same format. They text you, don't call them, because it's gonna freak them out. My wife will get a text, or she'll text somebody and they'll call her and she'll say, oh my gosh, it's too much social interaction. So she's the introvert and has opened my eyes up to that kind of thing. So texting, that's where this came from, okay? It can be done on all virtual numbers. Only call text or slide text can do mass texting. And then the plans start at $50 a month. Slide text, though, doesn't keep any house data. So when you get a reply on call text, you can go and see what house that you're trying to buy from them. Don't message under 2 days. So if you message people today, don't message them again until Monday. You don't want to hit them up too many texts because they'll reply stop and get opted out. Ringless voicemails. Okay, so they call a person and then they call them a half split second later and it goes right to voicemail. You have a pre-recorded thing that drops into their messages and that's it. It can be done on mass drops on slide broadcast and slide text or call text. Plans again start at the same amount. And if they reply stop, take them off. A lot of people though will just call you and say, hey, you called me and just returning this number. And just say, hey, I just want to see if you want to say yeah. You are the call center. So I wouldn't use a call center now. If you need that, we can help you set that up for you. But here is your script. If you're on your phone, you can just screenshot it, however you hit those buttons. If you're on the computer, if you're on a Mac, you can hit Command-Shift-5 and screenshot this. And yeah, if you need it after this, just let me know and I'll send it to you. But you want to ask all of this stuff. And right here is the main one. What is the story? Okay, you want to know like not just why they want to sell. You want to say what's the story and get them to talk. They should be talking more than you. And he who talks more in the negotiation loses. Cold calling. You call them. Okay, it's a virtual number, so don't worry. I had a student that was afraid that they would find out where he lived, but virtual numbers are not connected to your address, and sort of a subpoena, I guess, where if they skip trace that phone number, they'll find the provider website. So if it's like Google Voice, they'll find, oh, it's Google, they'll have to have a subpoena to Google in order to get you. But by that time, I would have just stopped doing whatever it was. But don't worry. And you can get I had a student get a Go phone, so with another number, so there was no way they could possibly trace him. And then of course you can get a USP box, a USPS or a PO box. This site is awesome, and they will do cold calls for you. They will do backup, like customer win back program. So if you've already had people you've talked to, they will recall them back. You can sort of do this on your own. If you call a seller, you can have your business partner or a friend call them and say, hey, this is, I'm on the marketing consultant with whatever your company is. Mine's Mike's House Help. So you can say, well, hey, I'm with Mike's House Help. We recently spoke with one of our acquisition managers, and I just want to see how that call went. I'm not here to see if you had sold or not, or to get you to sell. I just want to see how that experience was, and if it was enjoyable, if there was anything you didn't like about it, like you to let us know. And so people love that. Okay, and sometimes they'll hand it to you, but most of the time they'll be like, oh, and you'll win them back. And then so that's onbrand24.com, and they'll cold call people for you. Comp is a similar house, same bed and bath, and then plus or minus 300 on the square feet, and then within a mile, and within the last 5 months. Okay, no exceptions. You can go to Zillow and see all of that. Redfin. You can go to Rent-A-Meter for rent. You plug an address there, and that's free. If the seller is unfazed by the current market pandemic, if they say, oh, it's a hoax, or one guy told me it was 5G towers emit this radiation that causes all of those symptoms. And he told me it's in 2 weeks or whenever the president releases us from quarantine and we go back to work, his house will shoot back up to 200,000, what it was before, and just follow up with them every 2 weeks. You're gonna have to follow up quicker now because people are at home, time is passing by more slowly. You can't do it once a month or every 3 weeks. And I would maybe even think about doing it every week, because when they run out of toilet paper, they're gonna come crawling, or they need money to pay their rent. There's a lot of landlords in Atlanta that are still charging rent, that they don't even care that this thing is still happening. It's sad. All right, so see if they'll meet you at the house. If they do, be safe, be careful, get it under contract. If not, get them to send you pics. So you want to see if they're willing to get you at the house. If they are, just do it like any other deal, but be careful, obviously. And then you want to see if they're aware of what's happening. So if they're afraid to meet you at the house, they'll send you pics. That's good, because then it'll be easier to show your buyer to the property. And it means that they haven't been there in a while. So there's no, I think it can only live for like 5 days on surfaces. So you'll be okay there. And that's extra motivation. You want to find that extra motivation. Okay, so flip analysis, 70% ARV minus repairs minus your profit equals your maximum allowable offer. So the after repair value is 100,000. 70% of that is 70,000 minus repairs, let's say 10,000. So 60,000 minus your 10,000 profit. Always start at 10,000. So 50,000 is your maximum allowable offer. I would start at 40, and then of course come up. Here is your buy and hold strategy for analysis. Rent times 12 minus expenses divided by the price equals your cap rate. Okay, and this is a whole bunch of stuff. I just take the rent and add a 0, and if that is the ARV, then you're good. If the ARV is less than that number, then you might have a problem. There's another example. Don't negotiate with people. Don't negotiate with sellers. Don't negotiate. Forget the house. Focus on the person. They are the one who will sign the contract. Bring the house down by pointing out all the flaws. Will only make the seller frustrated. Just try to help them. Okay, you need to know them and the real reason they need to sell. Like a date, point your feet at them, make eye contact, and do it the cosmopolitan way. Okay, Cosmo tactics. Laugh when they laugh. If they tell a joke, they look at you. You know that look when that seller's telling you a joke about something. Some old boomer is like, "Oh, I got this joke." And they look at you. Laugh. All right. You agree with them if they like the president or if they don't like them. I agree with them either way. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. If they hate a group of people, just agree. I had one lady tell me the Mexicans were taking over, so you can have the house. I said, sure, I'll take it. And then I sold it to Jose. So maybe they are, but I want to be on their side. Okay, so there's a lot of racist people out there, and especially in my area of Paulding County, and just deal with it. I had an Albany student in New York who spoke fluent Spanish, and he was getting deals left and right. And he was telling people when Trump becomes president, he'll buy your house and give you enough pesos to move back home to Mexico and get 2 houses. So take advantage of whatever advantage you have. If you don't think you have one, you know, give me a call or text and we'll figure it out. We'll find out what your unfair advantage is. This is Nelson Mandela, probably one of the greatest people of all time. And this is Stoicism, which I have forgotten who invented Stoicism. But it's all about, think of it like Spock, or you know, just thinking logically and no emotions, not getting emotionally involved. So if the seller is emotional, let them be. You know, but you're an investor now, you're a wholesaler, you are a real estate entrepreneur. Emotion is not for you right now. You got to get rid of all that stuff. Think like a robot. So be like Nelson Mandela. Here are some books on them that you can read about. And then How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a great book that'll teach you how to win friends, influence people, and that's it. Okay, this is your training. Okay, this is all you need to know. Just be friends with them. Okay, they'll sell it to you if they like you. How to sell the deal to the cash buyer. Handwritten, slightly unprofessional, like a motivated seller. So you got some bandit signs there that are handwritten. Over here, I'm left-handed, so I wrote this with my right hand, and I said, hey, I need to sell my house at, and I printed it out just like the yellow letters on our YouTube channel. And so then I wrote the address of the house, and then I said, need cash, no realtors, wrote all of that. And it looks like I'm drunk and I got to get rid of my house, and they will eat that up, man. I mean, it is like insane how quickly they respond. They will call you from the house, and when they're there, you just give them the lockbox code, or if it's boarded up, you can just say, hey, get your drill and you know, pull off one of the boards and get in. Cash buyer, keyword is cash. They've paid cash for a house in the past. They have a proof of funds letter, or they are not wholesalers. Okay, so if you think somebody's a wholesaler, I just wouldn't deal with them. Normally you can go to the, what is it? It's April 5th, 6th, April 7th, the first Tuesday of the month. You can go to the courthouse steps and see a bunch of cash buyers up there for free, and ask them for their info. You need to see what houses they're buying and how much they're paying too. So it's great free market research. We don't sell a list of buyers anymore. Those only come to you if you're a student. You can go to ListSource and buy a list. You can go to a realtor and pull a list of cash buyers. You can also talk to Law Clerk on Demand. She sells lists as well here in Atlanta. Things to know that may get buyers now. Put a bit.ly link in your bio and share links to the flyer. Email it out if you already have an email list. Text it out on Sly Text if you have their numbers, or you can partner up with Justin Shipp or Marcus Merritt or me, and we have buyers as well. So once you get it, you want to market it, get a lockbox on the back door with a key to the house, get more pics into a Google Drive link, and get flyers printed. Here's a sample flyer. I have now changed it to where my pit here now goes like in the picture, because I had a guy that would literally like take a picture of that like as the flyer, and then would crop me out and would try to do it as his own. So yeah, a lot of crazy people out there. Here's a lockbox. MF's S Supply, $12.99. This might come in at like probably 2 weeks now, but you can get them at Home Depot, I think, for like 20 bucks. Yeah. And then do not post ghost ads. Don't post ads if you don't have a house. It just makes people mad. It makes me mad. I don't even know who I am when I respond to it and I say, hey, I've got a buyer in this area that's looking to buy. And you hear, oh, I don't have that one anymore. I just sold it. And you're like, dude, I'm here at the stop sign. I see you putting a sign out there right now. Oh, Flippin' America is an app where you can post pics of the house and sell it to cash buyers all over the USA with Roger Blankenship. You can go to bit.ly/flipusa to sign up. It's free for you, but the buyer pays $100 for that zip code to have access to it. And then when you actually sell a house, it's I think $100. So you don't pay until you actually make money. So the process, again, you sign a purchase agreement with the seller, you assign the agreement, the purchase agreement, over to the cash buyer, and then it goes to the cash buyer, and then they close on it. Non-refundable earnest money, it's non-refundable, they can't get it back. It ensures they will close, and you continue to market the deal until it goes hard or the closing, and then you get it back if they back out, but that rarely happens. So case studies, here I got some case studies and about 3 minutes over. Okay, so here is one case study. So here's one of my student had last year, and here's the before picture. We got it for $16,500 and then did nothing to it. Here's the after picture. Sold it for $24,000. You see the difference there? It's a really slight difference. It's $8,500. So here's another one. Got it for $115,000. Here's before. Look close. Did 0 to it. Sold it for $125,000. So we made 10 on that one. Here's another one I just sold right before everything started happening. So like 2 weeks ago, got it for $30,000. Here's the before picture. Look close. There's the after. All right. Sold that one for $56,300. I partnered up with another guy, so we ended up splitting that, and he paid for the transactional funding. So I think when all was said and done, we ended up making like $12,000 on it. So $12,000 on this little beater. Okay, so we're not going to leave you hanging. We're not just going to leave you sitting around. So if you can text a magic to 818181 to sign up for coaching if you need it. I don't want to just present you all this stuff, teach you what to do, and then have you just not know how to put it all together. I don't want to just get on here and tell you, hey, here's how you do it, and then just go out and do it. But we provide a framework on how to do it, and you have 24-hour or 24/7 365 access to your coaches. So it's not an email like mine was with my guru. It's $500 a month, but if you use the code COVID You get $200 off your first month. You get a copy of our back office, seller and buyer lists when you need them, instant access to your coaches, no deal split ever, unless you want to like partner up with us. You keep all the profit. That code COVID expires tonight at midnight. And if you sign up now, anybody that signs up gets a free roll of toilet paper. So you can't say I never did anything for you, right? And then if you need funding, we can get it to you in 5 to 7 days. So if you text any of those keywords to us earlier, you can just reply with I need money. We can do hard money, or we can do easy money. Hard money is, of course, on a house. So if you have a house, we can do that. So I sold Taylor. Yeah. So I'll get to that in a second. And then here are some terms. You can screenshot this, and then I can get back to this in the Q&A. And then here are some resources that you can screenshot, and let me know in the chat, and I can definitely go back to it later on. Okay. All right. And now Justin Ship is on, and I've taken too much time. I am going to give the floor to Justin. All right. Do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want me to do it?
You can introduce me, sure. I'm not sure how to get this video started though. It says I cannot connect.
Okay. All right. So this is Justin Ship. He is a master at rehabs, and I would say a new thing that's come out in real estate investing called Talk to People, where you don't do a whole lot of like, texting and you do some phone calls, but really much you get in front of the person, you meet him. He's been chased with hatchets and axes at houses and all that sort of crazy stuff. But yeah, just will not stop until he meets the seller and finds out sort of the what do they say on it's not a no until Justin gets a restraining order from the seller. Okay, they're motivated up until that point, and he's always going to get the deal. So yeah, if you take him on a call with you and you're going to a house, you're going to leave with the deal. So
Yes, sir.
So he's a coach on here. He also does subject to properties, where you take over the property, take over the mortgage. And then he rides dirt bikes and all that cool stuff. He's married and has 2 kids.
3 kids.
3 kids, and he's got lots of tattoos. He's got a big ship right here because his name is Justin Ship, and he's a good friend of mine.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Here's Justin Ship.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm not sure what's going on with my video. It's not showing my face, so y'all can't see my beautiful face today, but that's okay. I tried to start the video and it ain't working. So,
do you have the app on your phone?
I tried it on my phone, and on the laptop it's saying the host has stopped my video.
Oh, okay.
So
you're on here as a panelist. Let me see if I can do it.
But anyways, I'll keep on talking. So like Mike said, my name is Justin Ship. I'm the owner of Chaotic Realty and Chaotic Real Estate Solutions. I want to kind of dive into subject to more than anything, because in these times, real estate has gotten really uncertain, and a lot of people are having trouble making deals work because people still think, even though we're having an economic downturn in some degree, that their house is still worth what ARV was 3 months ago. And that's just not quite true right now. I mean, it may come back up, but for the deals that, oh, okay, it's working now. Hey guys. So for the deals that don't make sense as a traditional wholesale, you're good. For the deals that don't make sense for traditional wholesale, what we're going to be doing is talking about subject to. And how that works is, let's say you have a house that's worth $150,000 and the owner still owes $130,000 on it. Well, that house does not make sense for a traditional wholesaler to make an offer on that. I mean, how are you going to wholesale a house for basically retail? So what we're doing is we typically are taking over the property subject to their existing financing. So what that looks like is, let's say the owner has been living there for a year or two and their payment's $900 a month, but the area that the house is located in maybe rents for $1,400 in that area. What you do is take over that mortgage with their financing still in place. The mortgage still has a security deed. So you're not taking over the security deed. The mortgage stays in that original seller's name, and you're going to be taking over the warranty deed. So now you own the title to that house. You actually own the property, but you're going to be making those payments on the behalf of the seller. So what you can do with these kind of deals is, a lot of people pass up on these because they don't know how to structure them, but they're honestly pretty simple to structure, and you can still wholesale these deals. You're just not wholesaling it, for a cash offer of 140, because that don't make sense. What you're going to do is wholesale it for maybe $5,000 or $10,000 down, and they take over that mortgage. And now the new investor that has that house, they have a mortgage on that property, but it's not in their name. So if you have a lot of debt in your name, this can work out for the savvy investor that knows what they're doing. They can actually take over this house, keep it as a rental, but it actually not show up on their credit report or anything. So it's still showing up in the seller's name. And the contracts in place are really not that much different than what a normal real estate contract is. In fact, on our contracts that we use, we actually have options on our contract to where you can do like A, B, C, or D. And the options are, cash offer, taking it over subject to seller finance or traditional financing. So if you have it structured correctly, a lot of these deals that are in pre-foreclosure, or they just bought the house and maybe they lost their job and they're just not going to be able to make the payments anymore. Maybe they're moving, whatever the case may be. Some of these deals where there's just no equity in there, you can still make a lot of money on them. And we've been kind of moving toward and gearing our operation toward doing more and more of these deals. Last month we did 3 subject twos. This month we have 2 subject twos that we're selling. So when it gets in a market like this, where a lot of uncertainties in place and people, they're like, well, I need better and better deals. These work out really great because you have a low entry fee and can take over a property for a very low amount of money and still be able to, and as long as you're looking at the cash flow and not looking at the ARV, they make sense. So, a lot of people are like, well, why would anybody put down $10,000 and have a mortgage in place for $140,000 basically on a $150,000 house? Well, the whole purpose is cash flow, and it's not in your name, so it's not going to affect your credit at all. So does anybody have any specific questions on that strategy in particular, or Mike or Marcus, y'all want to jump in on asking any questions on that? Or
okay, so with taking over the mortgage, how do you actually assume, like, how do you actually take over the mortgage? And if you do, does your company or entity name show up on the mortgage or as the owner?
It will show up as the owner. Whoever's buying the property, when you're going to close this deal, just like a normal deal, you're still going to go to a closing office. You're still going to get your name on title, and everything's going to go just like a normal closing would. The only difference is that mortgage stays on the original owner or the original seller's name. So you'll have your name on title, but the mortgage will still be in the original owner's name, and you're just going to be making the payments on their behalf. So in essence, you're basically going to own this house with no mortgage. And as far as any banks or anything else knows, you own that house free and clear, because you're on title. But the mortgage, there is still a mortgage attached. There's still a lien attached in that seller's name that you have to pay off first, obviously, before you can, cash sell it or anything like that. But as far as maneuvering through selling it, you're just going to sell it subject to that existing financing. And another cool thing about structuring these kind of subject to deals is you don't actually have to sell them. You can keep them as yourself for rental yourself. And you can also do cool stuff like seller finance it to an end buyer, or lease option it to an end buyer. So you can get real creative with doing like wraparound mortgages and stuff like that. My business partner, Jock, just last month, he did one where he took over the property subject to for, I believe it was, what was the price on that? $6,000 down. And he financed, or the seller wanted $75,000 out of the deal. All right, so I'll break down the numbers real quick on this one. It was a house that was worth $200,000. The owner still owed $30,000 on the mortgage, and she wanted $75,000 in her pocket in cash. So she was wanting to sell it for like $140 or something like that, right? And we was able to talk her down, you know, and get it to where it made sense. And basically what we did was we gave her $6,500 down, and we took over her mortgage, which her mortgage was only like $500 or $600 a month. Rental rate in the area was $1,200 or $1,300 a month. And so it was really good cash flow. And what we ended up doing was had an in buyer take it over subject to. We sold it for $20,000 down, did a wraparound mortgage for the extra $75,000 with a balloon payment in 2 years. So the in buyer is going to basically take over that $39,000 mortgage. Then he's going to put renters in there, making it, you know, renting out for $1,300. And then he's going to give like, you know, like $100 a month to the seller for 2 years. And then in 2 years, whatever's left on the balance of that $75,000, he's going to balloon pay it, refinance the house and pay her off. So the cool thing about subject to and in real estate in general is there's a lot of creative ways to structure these deals that normally would not make sense for a traditional wholesaler, where you can still make a lot of money on these if you know, it's all about volume. So, you know, you pass up on 5 or 6 wholesale deals because it don't make sense, but we pick up those 5 or 6 deals as subject tos and still wholesale them and make 5, 6, 10 grand on each deal. You know, we just made, you know, an extra $25,000 that you could have made.
So we got a question here from
I'm not seeing the
Deed
questions.
in the chat.
Okay.
How do I connect with my buyers? I just finished my LLC and site. I was trying to start my first wholesale deal. You want to take that one?
How do you connect with buyers?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the questions. That's why I'm asking.
It's in the chat. There's also a Q&A section, which doesn't have anything in there. Oh, yeah, there's one in there, but it was answered. Okay. I don't know what he means by how do I connect with my buyers? I assume that you, or I'm guessing that you mean that how do you talk to them? I would just skip trace them and call them up. If you've got a realtor's license, you of course can just get all that information up from the MLS. If you are at the was it April, the first Tuesday of the month, you can just go walk up to them and talk to them.
Show me the questions.
I'm pretty sure that those people are still doing that kind of thing, still going to the courthouse steps and actually connecting with their buyers. If that doesn't answer your question, let me know.
I'm still looking for the messages, but it ain't popping up on my end.
Okay.
But anyways, I was going to touch base too on the on the subject too, as far as pitching that to people, because a lot of people probably are trying to understand how this subject to comes into play. So most of the subject to deals we do are people that are in pre-foreclosure, and they have pretty much exhausted all other options. And we come in there and, you know, with our company, our slogan basically is to provide real estate solutions. So what we intentionally do is go talk to people that have, you know, or in a pre-foreclosure situation, right? And you get there and you say, okay, look, we understand that you're in a bad spot and you don't have very many options in place. You know, obviously we can't give you retail price for this house. You're not going to be able to list it and sell it in the time that you need to sell it before it goes to auction, right? So we pitch this as being like almost like their final option. Like you got a couple other options. Basically, you can file for bankruptcy, stop the foreclosure, file bankruptcy, and be stuck in that for like 7, 8 years or whatever the time list, 7 or 10 years, I believe. So you can do that option, right? Which that's not going to work for most people. You can list it and hope that it sells within, a couple weeks, which it probably won't if it's retail and you're in a bad market, especially right now. Or third option, you can walk away from it, right? You can just walk away from it and let it hit your credit and don't do nothing, let the bank foreclose on it. Or the last option, hey, we can give you a couple of $1,000s. You can walk away from this, save your credit. We'll reinstate your loan. We'll start making the payments on your behalf. And in a year or two, we'll refinance out of it, and boom, you'll pay off your house and your credit will skyrocket up. So which option do you think is gonna be the best fit? You know, are you gonna file bankruptcy? No, I don't want to do that. Okay. Are you gonna list it with a realtor? No, I don't have time. Okay. You're gonna just walk away from it? You don't walk away with nothing, you're gonna fuck your credit? No, I really don't want to do that. Okay, well, let me give you $3,000 and you walk away from that way. I'll help you with moving expenses and I'll also connect you with a couple of realtors we have. Maybe they can help find you a rental that you can move into. And then we'll close on your terms. You know, we'll go ahead and reinstate your loan so don't go to foreclosure. And in a few weeks, we'll close on it. That sounds like a win. And that's how we present it. So most sellers are completely open to it once we explain all those options to them and start really opening up the doors to tell them what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And there is some risk involved. You know, there's a due on sale clause that the banks do have the right to close on the property if you buy it and do not pay off the loan. You know, it's called the due on sale clause. But 9 out of 10 times they don't do it. We use Chalker and Chalker closing office right here in Kennesaw. He does a lot of our subject twos. And I actually sat down with him one day and I said, hey, Eugene, how many subject to deals have you done in the last 10 years? He said, probably around 300. I said, how many got called? 3 deals out of 300. I mean, it's not common. It ain't going to happen a lot. And if it does happen, you usually typically have 30 to 90 days to, work with the bank and, refinance it or figure out what you're going to do. And there's also other ways to protect yourself from that happening as well. I mean, you can set it up in an LLC. I usually set up ours in a trust or LLC, and we actually use LLC method. It's a little bit easier. And what we do is we set up an LLC that's in the exact same name as the address. So like my personal home, I have it. My personal home is a subject to deal that I took over last year. And the address is 18 Castle Court, and we did 18 Castle LLC. So when the banks look at that, they don't see, oh, well, James was on the mortgage and now, Amy is. And they confuse that, why is Amy now on the mortgage? But if they see 18 Castle Court and then they see 18 Castle LLC, they just think, well, maybe James just set up an LLC and put in the LLC. They don't have no one's name on it. So it's a lot easier to maneuver and them less likely to call it due. Now my questions are popping up. So let me see what we got right here.
Okay. Well, first, we got a raised hand by Deed.
Okay.
And I can allow him to talk. So I'm gonna put you on there, and I hope I'm saying that right.
Okay.
All right, you are
DD.
You are unmuted. Hey, how's it going?
Hi. Yes. I wanted to know. I'm the one that answered the question. I'm the one that asked the question earlier. I recently did my LLC, and when I said earlier how to connect with buyers, saying I do see I guess foreclosure, someone selling their house. And obviously, if I'm going to be doing wholesaling, how would I basically get in contact with or get investors that will be assigned to the deal?
So you want to know how to market to buyers, how to find them?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a lot of ways to market to buyers, and really, it's honestly a lot easier than most people think. If you have a really good deal and you post that on Facebook or through some of these different platforms like Bigger Pockets or Connected Investors, stuff like that, they're going to reach out to you because they're going to be interested in buying it. I mean, there's not really a limited supply of buyers, but there's also you can also reach out to realtors that are local. You can reach out to other investors and do JV deals with other guys. I mean, I bet you Mike has probably a couple of thousand buyers in his network, as well as I do as well. I'm sure Marcus has quite a few buyers. If you connect with these other investors and wholesalers, they're going to most likely be able to help you find buyers for your deal until you start building your own network. But your network is pretty easy. I mean, you go on a lot of these group chats on Facebook, like, Atlanta wholesales, Atlanta, cash buyers, stuff like that. And you drop, hey, who's buying in Austell, Georgia, or who's buying in Atlanta, Georgia, this zip code. You're going to have at least a few emails dropped. And, not every one of them are going to be true cash buyers. Some of them are going to be wholesalers, but you're going to get some interested parties, and then you can start slowly building your list up and have it ready for the next go round.
A really good one that I like, my favorite so far, is when you go to Home Depot, you get those red for sale by owner signs. And so you put that in the yard of the house that you have or a house that you want, and you put for sale by owner and then your number. And a lot of people will call it and just give from them, hey, how much do you want to pay for it? And get the first number out of them. And then when the seller calls, they may be mad, but you could I always say, like, well, that's the only sign I had. That's just why I put it out, but I'm interested in buying it. And of course, you already know what number you needed it from them because you have the buyers that have already told you how much to get it at or to sell it at.
It's creative.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. So now
Hey, Mike.
we
I'm
got.
gonna go. Go ahead. Go ahead, Marcus.
I'm sorry, guys. I just wanted to jump on real quick and kind of just add on to what you guys said about that. So essentially, like Mike and Justin were both saying about, building up your buyers list through marketing. Like I said earlier, for me, I strictly, 90% of the time like to stick to the social media side of it. So as he said, that's just like a really easy way to find people that are buying in whatever area you're specializing in. A big thing is kind of know your market and where you wanting to specialize in and what's your niche, and it'll be a lot easier to find buyers. So if they know you as the person that sells houses or flips houses in Conyers, Georgia, then essentially every time a deal in Conyers, Georgia comes, they automatically know who to call, or they automatically know to reach out to you because that's what you specialize in. So I would, if you're starting out, kind of find your niche and what it's going to be, and let that kind of be your specialty, and you'll be able to get a lot more deals, and you'll be able to get a lot more buyers that way because they already know who they're trying to connect with. So
Good advice, Marcus. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and go through some of these question and answers over here. I guess Lev Mills, how you know a buyer is going to give you 20,000 for a deal? Well, I guess you really don't know until you put it out there. But as long as you're putting it out for a price that's reasonable and makes sense for them, they're gonna buy it. I mean, if you have a $200,000-$300,000 house and you're selling it for $150,000, and you got you got under contract at $130,000 and you're making $20,000 on the deal, they don't give a shit that you're making $20,000 on the deal. They're gonna make a lot more.
Yeah.
So that don't really matter how much you're selling it for, or how much you're making on the deal. What matters is, does it make sense for the end buyer? It just got to it's just got to make sense. Even for subject to, it don't really matter what the ARV is on a subject to now, not as much. It has to make sense for an end buyer though. It's got to make sense. Is it going to cash flow enough for their down payment to be worth it? What's their return on investment going to be, right? So any deal, it doesn't matter if it's subject to, seller finance, a traditional wholesale, whatever. It just has to have a good return that an investor would be, it would appeal to an end investor where they're going to want to buy it. There's been deals where I made 30, 40 grand on a deal, and there's been deals where I only made $1,000 on a deal. It's just, as long as it makes sense, you're going to be able to sell it though. What you laughing about?
So another way, the way that I do it is when you pull a cash buyer list, sometimes they will have the property they bought and how much they paid for it. And if you go to any sort of sale, like the foreclosure sale, you can actually see how much they're paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you need to know. And as long as you're below that number, you can get that amount. Like I had one for $1 and I sold it for 15,000. And because I knew he was going to pay 15,000 for it, but then that was the lady that said the Mexicans were going to take over, so she just gave it to me.
That's the best story ever.
And then Lev Mills is asking, what is the formula for analyzing subject to deals?
So there's really not a formula that I go by. I just look at every deal and analyze it to make sure it makes sense, right? So on a subject to deal, you're only analyzing what the cash flow is going to be. Obviously, if it has a lot of equity too, that's just a bonus, right? If it's got $50,000-$60,000 in equity, that's great for an end buyer. They're going to love that. But you really just need to make sure that the mortgage payment is low enough and that the rent expectations are high enough that you're going to have a really good cash flowing asset. So really what you need to look at is what the PITI is, what so what you need the mortgage statement every month. So you need the first thing you need to do when you go talk to a seller and you're considering doing a subject to deal is let me see your most recent bank statement, because you want to make sure that what they're telling you is true. You need to make sure that the mortgage, the interest rate, insurance, all that stuff is fully calculated. And then you can subtract that from what you think it would rent for and plus repairs and everything else to see if it makes sense to go forward with the subject to. And there's a lot of deals that I've structured subject to that I honestly didn't know if it was going to be able to move or not, and I still was able to move them. So I mean, there's always people ready to buy subject twos as long as you explain it to them and they understand how it works. And how do you reach the seller to do a deal? So we market to pre-foreclosure list primarily for sorry about that. For subject to deals, we primarily are focusing on pre-foreclosures with that. Subject to is not going to be something that appeals to most people. Most sellers are not going to be okay with you taking over their mortgage if they're fully caught up and there's no reason for them to be at risk, for that kind of deal. But if you're in pre-foreclosure and you really have no options allocated for yourself and you're pretty much out of hope and don't know what to do, you're very well going to love the opportunity for someone to take over your mortgage and you just walk away. The house I live in currently, I took it over subject to, and he was not behind on his mortgage at all. He just reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got this house. It's in perfect condition. There's really nothing wrong with it. I'm not behind on any payments or anything. I just am wanting to move and I cannot afford to make 2 house payments and I don't want to deal with renters. So I just don't want the house payment." And he only had like $6,000 in equity because he had just bought the house a year before. So he had no equity built up. So he was like, "Man, if you could just take over my payment and just walk away, I'd be completely cool with that." So that's what we structured. And then I've had other ones where, they had shit tons of equity. They had plenty of money in the property to sell it for a wholesale deal, but they didn't care. And it just made more sense though. Instead of doing a wholesale deal, it made more sense to do it subject to because we could assign it for a larger profit. So we had this one, the ARV was 240,000. We was taking it over at 160,000. The lady only wanted $1,500 down to walk away from it. She was in pre-foreclosure for a year. We had to reinstate her loan. It was 14,000 to reinstate the loan. So you're now all in at 175, right? And it's worth 240. That's some pretty good bit of equity, and it was pretty much retail ready minus a few small repairs. So I mean, we could have probably sold that for $10,000 profit. Made 185, sold it for 185 or something, and it would have made sense for a wholesale deal with that. But instead, we assigned it for a $20,000 and they took it over subject to. So they ended up paying $200,000 for it, and they still walked in with $40,000 in equity. Their payment was only $1,100 a month. The guy that bought it turned around and did a lease option with opportunity to buy it, and he's renting it or leasing it for $1,800 a month. So he's making $700 a month cash flow, and he was only in it, basically like $25,000 or maybe 20. Well, no, it was a little bit more than that. It was like $35,000. So he was $35,000 all in with repairs, reinstatement, and our fee. But he's making $700 a month cash flow. That's 2% return on his money, like per month. That's 24% yearly. It's really, really good. So
And that's with a long-term tenant, right?
They're leasing it for 2 years with the option to buy after 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the current strategy for me is that a lot of my tenants aren't able to pay. So anything new that we're getting, I've got an Airbnb in Atlanta, like 15 minutes from that hospital, Grady. And so it's hard to get people to stay in there now that it's Airbnb. They've got a new thing where they're advertising it to hospitals for medical personnel. So
Yep,
the
I saw
personnel
that.
are able to live in this house, even they don't have to infect their families by coming home to their families. And so it's really great. So that's an option now that you can do is just get it subject to and then rent it out to them. The hospital will pay for it. and they'll stay in there. The only thing you got to worry about is disinfecting everything when they leave, because in between nurses and people coming into your house to stay, it doesn't matter if they like get each other, because they're around it at the hospital anyway. But there is a service that I've got. I know a guy who can actually disinfect the entire house, and it's just like the videos. They come in with a big hose and they spray it all down. And then we've got a question over here.
Hey, real quick, guys. I'm so sorry. Justin, I actually had a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So essentially, I've done a couple subject to deals. I'm not like as proficient as you are probably, but I always find the hardest conversations happen when you are initially approaching them and wanting to get kind of all of that back end information. So the bank statement and, the confirmation to be able to talk to the mortgage company and such. So how do you kind of approach that to where they feel comfortable enough giving over that information?
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. So initially, this is really a good point to where you really need to build a strong foundation for your brand. Brand recognition is going to go a long way. So making sure you have, a solid website, Facebook, Instagram, good online presence where people can look you up and actually know that you're a trustworthy company. That's where a lot of that's going to come into play. Also, the way you approach people, you just need to approach them with the mindset, that, they're in a difficult spot and you're wanting to help them, not take advantage of them. So when I approach a seller that has that's in potentially like foreclosure or where a deal like this would make sense for a subject to, so my initial response is like, hey, I understand you got into this situation and life happens. We've been there. My parents have been there. My parents had to file bankruptcy 7 years ago, and they just now paid off their house, and it was a long struggle for them. And we help homeowners in this situation every day, all the time, every month. Last month, we helped 5 people stop their house from going to foreclosure. So I give them, facts. I tell them exactly how our company helps them and what we can do, to help them in that specific situation that they're in as well. So honestly, it comes down to being a trustworthy person, being honest with them and upfront, and tell them, this may not be something that you're comfortable with. It may not be a strategy that's going to work for you or your situation. But from my experience and dealing with all the situations I've done with, last year and all the deals we've done, in the past couple of months with other, homeowners that are in the similar situations, this seems like a viable option for your situation. It doesn't make sense for us to pay full retail for your house because it is gonna need some work, or you're really, really far behind on your payments, and the time is of the essence. We don't know if we can pull together $150,000 and pay off your mortgage, or pay off your mortgage and close on it within 3 or 4 days to stop it from going to foreclosure. So another option we have is we could reinstate your loan and take over your mortgage and do it, do this other option. So you just got to kind of present them with all the options and all the situations and see what they're comfortable with. You kind of got to gauge how motivated they are too. If they're extremely motivated and and the situation they're in is super distressing for them, if they're super stressed out, they're going to probably be a lot more open to the idea of subject to versus somebody that's, like, I got time. If they have like 3 or 4 months before their house goes to foreclosure, or if they're not even in foreclosure, they're probably not going to be very interested in subject to. But most people don't get interested in subject to until it's like a week or 2 before their auction date. And then they're like freaking out because they don't know what they're going to do. And they're pretty much out of all other options. They've exhausted all their options, and they're at a point where they're just ready to give up and walk away from it. And that's when you present them with these other situations or these other solutions where, hey, I know you're ready to walk away from it. I know you don't know that there's anything that you can do, but I'm telling you, I can help you and put a couple of $1,000s in your pocket to help you with moving. Instead of you walking away and getting nothing, I can put money in your pocket and help you get back on your feet and fix your credit. And that sounds a lot better than just losing everything. So we had one last month we lost. The guy waited 4 days before auction date to contact us. And we tried our best to get it done before the auction date, but obviously we weren't able to pull it off. The file was already with a attorney, foreclosure attorney, and they was not able to give us the reinstatement and payoff before closing date. So we ended up missing our chance to buy the property, and he was really upset about it. If he would have came to us, 2 weeks before the auction, we could have saved it, but he waited till like 3 or 4 days before the auction, and it just didn't give us enough time to get everything sorted. But we had one 2 months ago where a lady, she had been 9 months behind on her mortgage, 9 months behind on her mortgage. She just recently been divorced. Her husband moved out. She moved out. She had thought the bank had already foreclosed on the property. She hadn't been there in 9 months. She moved out and literally just didn't make a payment for 9 months. And then I called her and told her about the situation. I was like, hey, I see your house is in pre-foreclosure. I just want to see if there's anything I can do to help you, to keep your house from going to auction, maybe saving your credit and giving a couple $1,000s for you. This was right before Christmas. So she reached out to me. She goes, I thought you were a scam until I looked you up on Instagram and Facebook, and I saw that you had, followers and stuff. Because when I initially called her and I told her to look me up, I was like, feel free to look up my company. I got a website. Here's my website address. Here's my Facebook. Here's my name. Here's my Instagram. You can look me up in all 3 places just to make you feel more comfortable about talking to me. I know you don't know me. So she did. She went and researched me for like 2 weeks. And then she hit me up, and we ended up getting that house under contract. We didn't make a lot of money on that deal, but I felt really good about helping her out. I think we made $1,500 on that deal. It was kind of a real tight deal. But I also was able to help out a friend of mine that was trying to buy a rental property before the end of the year. So it kind of helped several people out. He was like, man, I really need a rental so I can write it off on taxes and stuff, save some money on taxes. It was a quick $1,500 for me right before Christmas time. And I was even able to give the seller $1,500 right before closing time too. And she had no money, and she was a single mom working 2 jobs. So she was like, man, I could use this money. So she was super interested in the idea of subject to, because she didn't have the money to pay the $12,000 or $13,000 reinstatement. They were about to foreclose on her house like right after Christmas. So she was able to sell her house, save her credit. She was able to make some money for her to buy her kids Christmas. And I mean, it was a win-win for everybody. So that's why I like subject to. It's just one of those situations where you're able to help people that are in really, really bad situations.
Yeah. Okay, we got a Q&A over here. How do you find an ARV that you can trust in these uncertain times? So the short answer for me is I go with just 20% off of whatever the ARV is. So if I find it's 100,000, I take it down to 80. But because it's going down so quickly right now, it's really hard to tell. But the beauty of it is that if you've got it under contract, you can and you can't end up selling it, you can just back out. So don't feel like, you've got to get it at that perfect price the first time. If you're doing the math, you're taking 20% off the ARV, 70% of that ARV minus the repairs, minus your fee, and then you come up with, your offer. Go for that.
So I want to touch base with that too. So I just typed in on the answers. When times are uncertain and the market's kind of going down, just lower your offer price based off of that. I mean, I know it's hard to kind of judge, but let's say the ARV is, 100,000 normally, and you're going by the 70% rule, 75% rule. Lower your offer by another 10 or 15% just to cover your ass and make sure you're still going to be able to move it. People are still going to buy. They're just going to want to buy at deeper discounts. So when you're talking to a seller, let them know, like, hey, I know you're interested in selling your house. I'm interested in buying it. But with the economy the way it is, the market is uncertain right now. The coronavirus has everybody locked inside. Nobody's working. I don't know if I'm comfortable taking the risk of buying your property. To be able to buy your property, normally, I'd probably be at this range, but because of how things are going right now, I'm probably going to have to get it a little bit cheaper than normal just to feel safe about it, to feel good about it. So on your $100,000 house, normally, I wouldn't even tell them that though. I'd just say, look, normally I'd probably be at an offer range around 70,000, but based off of, how the market's reacting right now, I'm probably going to feel more comfortable around 55, but I am cash. I can close in a couple of weeks. We can still get this done. And, try to do as much stuff virtual as possible too. You don't want to go out, catch coronavirus, try to get a deal. Try to get them to send you pictures of the property and negotiate with them as much as possible based off the pictures, and just ask a lot of questions too. Make sure you're getting as much information from the seller as possible. Don't take their word for everything, but you need to ask them questions. Say, hey, look, ask them detailed questions. When was the last time the roof was replaced? When was the last time the HVAC was replaced? When was the last time it was remodeled? Can you send me a picture of every single room? I need pictures of every outdoor area of the house. I need the pictures of the basement, crawl space, everything. And then just base your pictures as much based off the pictures, offer as good a price you can, but be a lot more conservative with your numbers. Just lower it by 10 or 15% to be safe. And then you can still move it, because if you can get the offers in at 50% of ARV minus repairs, you surely you can sell it for 55 or 60% of ARV to an investor still, because if most investors were paying 70, 75% or 80%, 3 months ago, 65 is a really good deal. And we're not having no problem selling stuff right now, but the stuff that we did get under contract before the coronavirus and all this economy crap, we have been negotiating down and getting them lower. Like we just bought a rehab yesterday and we only negotiated it down $4,000, but we was able to call the seller right before closing, was like, look, we're still trying to close on the property today, but based off of all this coronavirus and market stuff, we're really feeling a little bit uncertain. Would you be comfortable with us lowering the price by $4,000 just to give us a little bit of extra, wiggle room? Because we don't know how we're going to do on this thing. And the lady said, yeah, as long as we're still closing, I'm fine with that. And we bought that house. We're rehabbing that house in 2 weeks. So hopefully it sells quick.
We got a question from Lev. How do you reach the seller to do a deal? Do you use a list to get their contact info?
So yeah, what we're doing is we got different kinds of lists we pull. This month we're actually ramping up things drastically over what we normally do. So normally we're only pulling about 3,000 leads a month is what we do, and we buy, and then that's including pre-foreclosures and vacant absentee owner houses. This month we pulled 65,000 leads, and we're hitting everything as hard as possible. Usually we spend about $2,000 to $5,000 on marketing. This month we spent 22,000. So we're ramping things up drastically because of this. What we're going to do is offer pretty much everything at 50% of the ARV minus the subject to deals. And we're just going to put in way more offers than normal and try while everybody else is scared, we're running harder than ever. We're going to try to lock up as much shit as possible this month. So our goal is to try to do at least 18 deals this month. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we market to absentee owners, vacant houses, and pre-foreclosures primarily. But we did add this month, we started adding owner occupied that are been in the house for at least 15 years as well.
I've been getting those too. My wife is on this house and she's been getting like texts and stuff about it. And I'm like, man, they're going after owner occupant. Like,
yeah, we're going after everything.
Man. Yeah. And if you've already have like a list or you've already marketed to people, reach out to everybody again. Because if they weren't motivated before, obviously they might be motivated now and ready to go.
And if anyone on here is new and they're not sure where to get lists, there's a couple of free sources online that you can get lists from, including going to like courthouse and stuff like that to pull some records. You can even go on auction.com to pull pre-foreclosures, but you better know how to talk to them. But as far as owner occupied vacant houses, absentee owners, there is a lot of sources online to get those. And if anyone wants to reach out to me directly, we actually are starting to sell our own list as well. We actually can pull lists for anywhere in the nation, and we can get them skip traced as well. And we have pretty competitive pricing. We have a deal that we worked out with batch skip tracing, so we're able to get the list a little bit cheaper skip trace than what you could going through them directly. And as well, we have a source for pulling leads and compiling them that is really, really accurate and a lot better list than what most people are getting right now. I know you can get a lot of lists from PropStream and stuff like that, but they're not going to be the greatest list. They're going to be decent, but they're usually a couple months old. So just kind of keep that in mind.
PropStream is really good, but not for leads. They have added a new feature where you can upload your own list, and it'll tell you if something on there has been sold, redeemed,
Oh, that's nice.
foreclosure's been halted. So I pay for it now just for that feature, and so I'll put in probates and all that stuff in there.
That's good advice. I did not know that. And
Yeah.
I tell you another thing too that a lot of people don't know, but PropStream is a really good source for finding cash buyers as well.
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, I'm about to have to jump off here. I'm in the middle of an office training. We got some guys in the office today that we're training on acquisition. So I'm about to have to jump off here. But if anybody needs to speak to me directly or has any specific questions for me or anything like that, feel free to do so. I'm going to try to add my email and stuff in here if I can figure out how to do it. Oh, here we go. If anyone needs to reach out to me, they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or email me directly.
And reach out to him. You're doing what next? This Friday or?
What's that?
No. Next, the second Tuesday in
Yep.
April.
Yep, second Tuesday in
you're doing an
April.
event at the office there.
Yep.
So if you ever want to come into an office and see how he runs everything, that'll be your chance.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm about to get off here, but y'all have a great day. All right.
All right. Thanks, Justin. You too.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Oh, another site, one I like to use that I just found out is called PIPL. And PIPL. Okay. PIPL.com. People, I guess is how it's pronounced, but they will find social media, and they will find Instagram, Twitter, any social media, Snapchat that they have. I haven't gotten a deal off of Twitter or Instagram yet, but that would be really cool just to, that's how I found the person. I did have one guy that was homeless, and the only thing I had was some Instagram posts of a bar in Atlanta. And I was about to go down there into these bars and just ask him, hey, do you know who this guy is or where he's at? He's got a house. But he ended up having his brother give him his phone, and he called through the brother's phone that we'd called that phone previously, and he came through. But finding social media, making sure that it's the person, because you see the picture. So that'll really help. And then it links up with BeenVerified.com, which is another skip tracing site. I believe that one is like $60 every 6 months. It's $60, so it's $10 a month, but they make you pay for it in advance. I found a new skip tracing site. Earlier we were talking about skip tracing. I found a site called REI Skip, and it is by that guy that's like cut from stone. What's his name? Max Maxwell. All right. He's got this site. He bought it and then reworked it to where he bought it and remade it, and now it's 15 cents a skip trace. So it's cheaper than all the other ones. I don't know. I'm using it right now. I'd say it has probably the same amount, same data. It doesn't look like there's any less skips. It only does 3 phone numbers per person. So uploading this list to call text or any other platform is going to be easy. I've done batch skip tracing, but sometimes they give you like 8 phone numbers. But so I'm doing both of those right now. So at the end of the month, I'll be able to tell you which one is really like, the way to go. Because batch skip tracing, I think, is like 20 or 30 cents a skip trace, whether or not they find them. So yeah, all right. So we've answered all the questions. Oh yeah, so I sold Taylor and Taylor Drive, that house right here. And let me show it to you. So this one, yeah, Taylor Drive. So I sold this one, and I sold it to, I met a guy at a meetup that was with Justin at his mastermind. And he advertised that he had a bunch of like sort of like a boiler room that would call lawyers, doctors, people almost like Glengarry Glen Ross, you know, who want to get into real estate, are willing to pay a little bit more. And so he ended up finding in the buyer. So if you can't find a buyer, chances are somebody else out there can. If you've got a buyer that needs a seller, chances are there's somebody else out there who can. So always partner up. Other wholesalers are not your enemy. Okay. All right. So I think that's it. Again, if you want to further in the coaching, don't forget about the sign up. You can text MAGIC to 818181. And if you sign up, I'll give you a free roll of toilet paper. And then use the code COVID to get $200 off the first month. And then after that, it's $500 a month with no deal split. And then you get lists whenever you need them, buyer lists whenever you need them, seller lists whenever you need them, any of that stuff. And that expires tonight. And you want to add anything else, Marcus?
No, I think you guys definitely covered it. Essentially, like you kind of said, is the main thing really is, you know, how are we all trying to do deals and kind of keep our business moving right now? And you know, we all gave, I think, really good examples of how you can do it. Obviously, with wholesaling, creative deal structuring. I don't know if Justin touched on it, but I know a lot of investors right now are doing virtual walkthroughs and such. So if a seller is interested in selling and you don't feel comfortable going to their house, or they don't feel comfortable with you coming to their house, do a virtual walkthrough. So, you know, get them to do it straight from their phone or tablet and kind of get a look at everything. And you can maybe potentially give them a give them an offer over the phone, or just, you know, kind of right there instead of going to their house. So I don't, you know, there's so many creative different ways that you can still do deals and make money right now. So don't feel like you're stuck just because you're stuck in the house.
Yeah, usually with the coaching, I tell them you've got to meet them at the house. You've got to set that appointment. You got to meet them face to face, and you got to bring your contracts. And if anybody knows me, if you see me in person, I've got this bag with me all the time, and I've got this folder. And when I meet the seller, I've got all the contracts I need right here. Everything's already printed out. I always do paper contracts, but since that's not really feasible right now, you know, meeting them, docu-signing, HelloSign is a good one that works with Podio. All of those online. I think even with just Adobe, you can send a contract over. But yeah, and then if you have to, you can mail it to them if they're elderly. I've had to do that a couple times where they don't even have a computer or a phone. They've got a dial up. I don't know if y'all are old enough, but us millennials remember you'd have to put in those phones with a rotary. But yeah, whatever it takes to get the deal done. Okay. And then if you have any other questions, you've got all of our Instagram and stuff, contact info in there. If you want to call me directly, you can reach my phone number right here. It's on my shirt. And thank you for coming, and stay safe. All right. I'll see you on the next one.